Well, that's nice. I get an escort. I'm going to talk today, you can see that my topic is Change is Divine, and I wanted to, when we started kicking around this Metamorphosis service, one of the first things that popped into my mind was the first verse of Genesis, where it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was void, and there was darkness over the water, and then God's hovering over the water. And we all know what happens next. He says, let there be light, and there's light, and then he creates the land and the sea, and the vegetation, and the animals, and then finally us. Of course, we're last because we are, in the old stories, the pinnacle of creation. And when I was thinking about that, I really looked at the other topics we were discussing today. Change, well, mine is change is divine, change is growth, change is necessary, change is inevitable. And the thing I thought was, where is change is scary? Because change is very scary. Our ancestors knew that. If you look at the changes in our lives, the things that we cannot control, you cannot prevent sickness, you cannot prevent death, you can't prevent aging. I probably should have done that in a different order. You can't prevent misspeaking when you aren't using notes. You can't just magically conjure up out of thin air health or wealth or love or anything like that. And this kind of fear that's caused by change can lead people to do drastic things. It could be something as small as a teenage girl, who breaks up with her boyfriend and then she slams the door to her bedroom and she stays in there all night and won't eat. It could be a guy who is so afraid of technology and the changes that are coming that he moves out to a cabin in the middle of Montana and doesn't speak to anybody. Or it could be something as drastic as people who are afraid of cultural shifts in their region getting on airplanes and crashing them into skyscrapers. Change causes people to do violent and rash things, and it can be very scary. And our ancestors found a way to deal with that. And I think in a lot of ways, if you trace back our Unitarian Universalist roots all the way to the earliest formations of religion, religion is something that helps people understand change, helps people cope with change. It makes it less scary. Our ancestors put change in the hands of a benevolent deity, someone who could occasionally get mad at you, but you could offer him a goat or something. He would feel better. And he also cared about you, or she also cared about you. And our ancestors kind of went along with that. Now, you and I may or may not believe in such a benevolent deity watching over us, making all these changes happen. But if you think about what we talk about when we talk about science, when we talk about the Big Bang and evolution, these are forces of change. They are beyond, in some ways, our understanding. And that's really what the divine is. It's a force that is beyond our understanding. And these forces of change have brought us to where we are today. They've made us the people that we are. They've brought all of us into this room on this beautiful June Sunday morning. They're allowing us all to commune with one another right now. And that's beautiful. And in that way, I think as scary as change can be, if change can do that for us, if change can bring us together and allow us to unite with one another and feel peace even for a moment, then that change is divine.
Can you hear me fine? Change occurs across all our lives. We are not the same people we were when we were born. At birth, we did not know how to walk, talk, or cook dinner. We had to learn these skills as a matter of survival, if nothing else, or to please our parents. Learning is changed by growth. Even beyond the development of childhood, we are learning and we are growing. We are learning to balance our family lives with our careers and our personal lives. We are learning to grow into a good parent, learning to manage retirement, growing to improve society. And most of the time, we thrust this growth upon ourselves. But sometimes growth is forced upon us. And sometimes we need to learn or relearn how much we have grown. This is what happened to Elaine and Brad Tipping when her job relocated them from Seattle, Washington to Nishiho, Japan. Slight difference. While they both spoke Japanese, they were not quite as prepared for the cultural changes they encountered as they thought they needed to be. And Elaine began to chronicle her and her husband's adventures in the new country in a blog titled Tales of a Gaijin. Gaijin being the Japanese word for immigrant or foreigner. And she noted in some of her early posts how difficult adapting seemed to be. From learning how to use the toilets there, which actually are tremendously different, to even speaking in public. She said, "Sometimes I feel like I'm 5 years old, only able to say the most simple stuff. Want tea, hot, your money." Yet in the same conversation, I feel like a 90-year-old lady that forgot her hearing aid. "But can you say that again? Try it in my good ear." But she noted that her friends were so genuinely supportive that they never forgot how much they've improved over the years. She later noted, "It's like being surrounded by overly proud parents. Hooray, you bought pants all by yourself." "Oh my God, Brad just read it at a 3rd grade level. Congratulations." We felt really triumphant and accomplished at being able to do anything. And some days that's enough to make us realize we can survive in a foreign country. You really haven't lived until you can celebrate the simple things. So just like the Tippings, remember all those simple accomplishments you've taken and embrace them. They're evidence for how much you have grown and how much change and growth you can handle in the future. Speaking of change, the offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who have joined with us. 15% of undedicated gifts are returned to the community to promote positive change, such as housing people who are homeless, feeding people who are hungry, healing people from addiction at Earl's Place, and by building the beloved community of the Vatican Road. During the same song, Come Home Again, which started as a piece for clarinet and morphed into an Irish love song, the offering will now be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and values.
I really love how Jasmine set this homily up. She changed it around, like the Four Seasons, the four lay worship associates. So that's just me segueing and trying to find my place here. Okay, so, but I also want to compliment Jasmine, who is the chair of the Lay Worship Associates. Let's just give her a quick hand. She's also our president-elect. So as you heard in the opening words, change alone is unchanging. Or in the words of the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus, change is the only constant. It is the one thing we can count upon. From the moment we are conceived until the present, we are changing. As you sleep, as you work, as you play, as you sit in the chairs right now. Nuclei in your cells are dividing and changing, and you're forming new cells. Every 10 years, they say you have a brand new body. And it doesn't matter whether you're young or old. And it's necessary. If we didn't have this constant recreation going on within us, we would perish, both as individuals and as a species. We would never be able to adapt to our ever-changing environment. Now, I graduated from the Pennsylvania State University with a bachelor's degree in geosciences. I am a certified professional geologist in Virginia. And in spite of my religious upbringing as a Catholic, I never had any qualms about accepting Darwin's theory of evolution via natural selection. To me, it was a scientific explanation of the mechanics of creation, rather than a faith statement of why creation exists or whether there's a being that actually created all of this to begin with. Change is at the heart of the evolutionary process. Variation exists within all populations of all organisms, partly because mutations occur in the genome of the individual organism. And these mutations are passed on to offspring. Throughout an individual's organism's life, its genome interacts with its environment to cause the changes in the traits. Specifically, those individuals with genetic variants that enhance their survival are more likely to reproduce offspring with those very same traits. Hence, the population evolves. Let me give you a more practical example of England's peppered moth. At the start of the Industrial Revolution, this moth varied in color from a light gray, brown, to a smoky gray. But the dark-colored moth was by far the most uncommon of the variations. However, as the Industrial Revolution progressed, many of the trees on which the moths rested became blackened by soot from the factories of the Industrial Revolution. So consequently, the dark-colored or smoky gray moths had an advantage in hiding from predators, and they had a better chance of surviving to produce the dark-colored offspring. By the time the Industrial Revolution had ended, nearly all of the peppered moths in Manchester, England, were dark gray, as opposed to a light gray. So, to survive, all species must adapt, and to adapt, all species must change. Change is built into our ecosystem at a molecular level, and it is necessary to make a species stronger. And of course, change is necessary in our own personal lives, not only to help us to survive, but to thrive. Have you ever found that a certain exercise routine doesn't really help you any longer? You're not losing the weight, you're not gaining the muscle. Maybe the diet you followed when you were 25 doesn't really work so well when you're 45. You know what I mean? Maybe you became stagnant in your work, bored. Okay. So what did you do to feel better, to make things better? Well, chances are you made a change. And why? It was necessary.
In the School of Social Work, as I seek my MSW, I have been taught that change is inevitable. Social workers like to think of themselves as agents of change. The reality is, though, that change would happen anyway. All is dukkha. Social workers, however, seek to influence change. They wish to transform the lives of their clients and the vitality of the communities in which they serve. Any other social workers here? They even seek to influence social change to protect the vulnerable and pursue justice. The concept that change is inevitable gives me hope as I ponder the present challenges of this church and strive toward working with you to shape our future. At TUC's annual meeting, our congregation chose a budget that instigates severe cuts to the salaries and hours of our staff and uses a month-long furlough to become balanced. This was a painful decision to make, and I anticipate similarly painful consequences. Yet again, I was reminded change is unchanging, all is dukkha. Change is inevitable. Indeed, even the institutions we build through the love and devotion of generations are impermanent. I believe that it is time to reflect, to heal, to recover, to hope, to dream, to transform. Moving forward, we can embrace our own impermanence and redesign this church to appeal to the people of both today and tomorrow. We can choose to change through construction. We can influence our own transformation. We can take control and contribute our commitment to truly beloved community. Through planning and guidance, we can renovate. We can build from our strengths to become the church we envision. The theme of our summer worship series is Metamorphosis. I will define metamorphosis as becoming who we are destined to be. A tadpole is destined to become a frog. A caterpillar is destined to become a butterfly. Who are we as a church destined to become? How do we as a community embrace metamorphosis? In what phase of our own metamorphosis are we? We must understand our history, own the consequences of our collective decisions, and experience the pain, which is often the motivator for constructive change. To embrace our metamorphosis, we must be motivated to transform together, united behind common vision and purpose, and enacting our values and principles. Change is inevitable. There is much to do, much to explore. In what phase of our own metamorphosis are we? I think we are a pupa, like the chrysalis of a butterfly. In this phase, we are trying to preserve this institution. We evaluate and restore the body of this church. We cultivate our connections through direct communication and creating a clear path for conflict management. We become the church of loving hearts. We become a healthy congregation. Soon it will be time to break free of our cocoon. It will require the strength of us all. It is essential to build the muscle of our church through bolstering our relational interactions. We do this by genuinely greeting visitors, providing assistance and support to one another, and nurturing our newcomers, friends, and members. By living our principle of compassion in human relations, we become the church of helping hands. We become a caring congregation. Then we will be ready to embrace the next phase of our metamorphosis. We will open our wings and fly into the world as a majestic butterfly. This will be the time to learn and grow. We can adapt to the challenges of our church and denomination. We can lay the foundation for the endurance of our faith by developing dedication to the ministry of our children, not their children, our present and our future. We can reinvent our mission to reach outward, to actually embrace the diversity of all people, to serve the vulnerable and pursue justice. With radical, comprehensive understanding that we are part of the interdependent web of all existence, we become the church of open minds. We become a welcoming congregation. Change is inevitable. Let us choose to preserve, strengthen, and grow this institution and our faith. Let us commit to becoming the church, the healthy, caring, and welcoming congregation, the truly beloved community we are destined to be. Let us find meaning in metamorphosis as we journey together toward transformation. In affirmation of this, please join in singing the Fire of Commitment, hymn number 1028 in the teal hymn.